Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City Council meeting of November the 21st in the year of 2017. Thank you for attending today. We've got a great agenda, and we encourage you to get your sheets in so you can speak on any item that you'd like to speak on. I'll call this meeting now in session, and will the City Clerk please call the roll?
Thank you. Councilmember Ashby. Councilmember Warren. Councilmember Harris.
Here.
Councilmember Carr.
Here.
Councilmember Chenier.
Here.
Vice Mayor Jennings.
Here.
And for the record, Mayor Steinberg will be absent tonight. I do expect Councilmember Guerra and Councilmember Hanson momentarily. I have Councilmember Hanson.
No, she just said I expect.
Doing all right? How are you?
Vice Mayor, you do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you very much. Sacramento, I am proud to bring up to the podium to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. For the first time saying these words at this podium, Deputy Chief Dave Paletta.
Good, great call.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
So Dave, I was told that you would have a few words for us.
Are you retiring?
Dave, I was told that you would have a few words, just a few. And by the way, on behalf of all of us, congratulations on the new promotion.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Looking forward to the new challenge. And I've been in operations, as you know, for over 5 years. And Chief Hahn has selected me to be the new operations chief. So I'm excited to take on that role, too. So thank you very much.
Thank you again.
That was modeling public testimony.
Exactly. Okay, so for the public's information, there was no closed session. I'm sorry,
Can I add something?
Councilmember Carr.
Yeah, I gave Dave a call the other day, and I had the pleasure of working with Dave for the last 2 years and some change. He's provided me with monthly updates on what's going on in the city, as with a focus on what's going on in our area. I found him to be absolutely nothing short of outstanding. After the first meeting, I knew he would not be in that position very long. He was going to get promoted and moved up somewhere. And I'm just thankful that we had you representing our districts as long as you did. I know you're going to be moving on to bigger and better things. You'll still be operations chief, so you'll be over our districts. But it was a pleasure working with you for the last 2.5 years, Dave. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Carr. Okay, so for the public's information, there was no closed session, so there's no report out of closed session. And with that, we will move to public comments, matters not on the agenda.
Thank you. I have 16 speakers for matters not on the agenda. The first one is Gregory Galvanovich, then Ishtal Madrigal, and then Lorraine Frias.
And so for the public, just so we can all start on the same accord, public comment, you have 2 minutes to speak. As you get to the final 2 minutes, I'm going to ask for your final comments. You'll get an additional 10 seconds at the most. And if you continue to talk, we're going to have to shut the microphone off. And so we want to be fair to everyone, give them an opportunity to speak. We want to stay within the 2 minutes and honor everyone's time. So I just want to be fair to everyone and let you know in advance, we will shut the microphone off after 2 minutes and 10 seconds. All right, sir.
My name is Gregory Glavinovich. I have a topic from The God Particle by Leon Lederman. There's very interesting stories there. You could use at cocktail parties. One is, let's see, there's 3 pairs of individuals. Occasionally or rarely in science, a big shot dies and a big shot is born. Galileo and Sir Isaac Newton they both worked on equation problems in physics. Sir Isaac Newton was born within a year of Galileo's death. Sir Michael Faraday and Benjamin Franklin, they both worked pioneers in electricity. Sir Michael Faraday came up with electric circuits. Faraday was born within a year of Franklin's death. So it's like a big shot dies and big shot is born and carries on the same work. It's like it's the same person. Story number 3 is Albert Einstein never wanted to go to school. He just wanted to study Maxwell equations. Maxwell equations are the theoretical, mathematical structure of light. And Einstein was born within a year of Maxwell's death. There's more to say on that about, this hints that reincarnation is true, and there's more to say about that then there's the topic of George Washington. George Washington was visited by a beautiful angel when he told his assistant, nobody should visit me tonight, and it turns out it was an angel, or a legend is it's an angel, and I don't have much time left.
I thank you for bringing copies for all of us to be able to take home. Thank you, sir.
My next speaker is Ishtel Madrigal. Following Ishtel is Lorraine Frias.
Hachi ko rishinkin matiach ach. Hachi ko rui mo tushi ob. Hachi ko rakan ma tibi ini. First, I would like to express my support for our unhoused neighbors being stripped away from their humanity. I see you and hear you, and I hope our elected officials are able to see the connection between your displacement and the genocide suffered of my relatives for the last 525 years. City Council, again, I'm here to ask you to place Indigenous Peoples Day on the agenda. It is time for our city to be part of a larger movement to acknowledge the falsity of the dominant historical narratives that minimize and hurt Native Americans. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the suicide rate of youth between the ages of 18 to 24 nationwide is 12.8 deaths for every 100,000. For American Indians or Alaskan Natives, this number jumps to 22.3 deaths per 100,000, with many more believed to be unreported. Of course, any suicide is tragic, but the nearly double amount for Natives is an indicator of an institutional problem with mental health disparities for the Native American community. So this Thursday, when you're in your cozy homes eating your turkey dinners, remember we do not honor this genocidal holiday that perpetuates a false narrative that has an impact on our ancestors, our present community, and the 7th generation to come. That is, if nothing changes. Hakin chohi shahala nuke aslemal.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Lorraine Frias, and then Robert Copland.
AB 738 is going to be signed into legislation January 1st, 2018. I'm going to read from this. This legislation will require Native American Studies curriculum to be taught in public schools and all educational systems. Currently, the instructional resources available for use in California public schools do not include accurate history and contemporary information concerning Native Americans in the U.S., and especially in California. Because this expertise resides within the tribes themselves, any effort to develop a model curriculum for Native American studies must be tribally driven. So I ask that we follow the state's lead and make the 2nd October Indigenous Peoples Day so that we can begin to tell the truth of this day so that we're not living in lies. My children deserve the truth. Your children deserve the truth. I don't believe that we can continue being a part of this society on lies. So let's build. I'm offering to help you build, to help you be great in our community. We don't need help to preserve our culture. We preserved our culture ourselves. But what is happening here is in the systems of the government, that they are choosing to disgrace our communities by giving lies and inaccurate history, as proven and provided by the mayor, not the mayor, by the state of California. So build with us. Don't ignore us. We've been ignored. We're not in the history books. I believe we might have 3 pages in the history books in high school and below. So please, let's build. I don't
Can I
think we
get your
should
final
have to
thoughts,
wait
please?
for another community. Let's do this.
Thank you very much.
Next speaker is Robert Copland, and then Mackenzie Wilson. And following Mackenzie is Fago.
Well, I'm kind of upset about the vote you had on the aggressive panhandle ordinance last week. I think that was a mistake, and Sacramento will pay for it in the future. But my real issue is housing. People have been coming here before I've started coming to city council and talk about more affordable housing in Sacramento, and I know several organizations in Sacramento and statewide are trying to get more affordable housing, like ACE, DSA, some of the labor unions, Dogfight, which is a disability rights group, ECOS for one. So you got labor, you got the disability rights, you got the homeless people, you got environmental people, all that want a more affordable housing in Sacramento. So why isn't the city council not listening? I mean, they have a habit of not listening to what the people want and doing what they want. And I think another issue is, if you're not doing city business or a medical emergency or some kind of family emergency, you should be in new seats every week. And where's Mayor Steinberg tonight? Can he not face the music of his disastrous vote from last week? I mean, really, I think you should, anytime a city council member does not show up for a meeting of this important, we should know why. The public should know why they're not here. Like Eric Guerrero, we know, congratulations on your baby. That's excusable absence, but a lot of times you're not here and we don't know where you are. Thank you.
Next speaker is Mackenzie Wilson, then Fago, and then Wanda.
Go ahead. Councilmember Chenier.
Thank you. So, Robert, I just want to say I think the entire council would agree with you that we need more housing. Our lobbyists are working at the Capitol on that. If you have specific ideas, I'd love to hear them.
All right, Mackenzie.
Well, then you may have kind of changed my mind to talk to you then. Because if you're down to hear them, I'll bring them back. And if you're down, like you said, if you're down to hear them, we can talk about it. Okay. All right, I'll hold you to that.
All right.
The next speaker is Fago, then Wanda, and then Suzanne Hastings.
So this week I'm going to start off with the same solutions I read to you guys last week. Hopefully you guys will actually be listening this week, because most of you weren't last week, as usual. First solution to homelessness. Way to go about homelessness that respects people's rights and also starts building the way to get people off the streets quicker. First off, since we still have people on the streets, let's allow for sleeping in public spaces between, say, 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. in low-foot traffic areas in groups of no more than 5. That way we keep down the potential of intimidating behavior, and it's not in an area where people are likely to be at. 2, open up at least one tent city or tiny home village in each district. That way they have a place to go immediately while we build towards bigger projects and more long-term projects. 3, open a parking lot in each district as a safe place for vehicle sleeping and install monitored bathrooms and shower facilities. That way people have a place to go in more ways than one. 4, perform an audit on how much the city spends on the current camping ordinance, including law enforcement hours spent, court fees, etc., and have 60% of that funding reallocated to fund housing and services. Open monitored restrooms and increase the number of trash cans in areas near known homeless encampments. Create storage lockers that cost 25 cents a use scattered around the city. The money raised would be put into a fund for housing and improvements to services. Discontinue enforcement of the camping ordinance. Create language that protects the homeless from discrimination based on housing status, and grant equal protection under the law. Also, I want to inform you guys that due to your vote last week and the fact that we know that the PBIDs, the public and business investment districts or improvement districts, have been heavily influencing your decisions upon this council as you are all on the boards of these things, we are going to begin boycotting all the board members of every single one of the PBIDs in town that was involved in voting in favor to criminalize the existence of our most fragile members of the community for the benefit of their profits. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Boycott them all.
Next speaker is Wanda, then Suzanne Hastings, and then John Fierro.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
I'm not quite know what to say tonight, but it seems like the unhomed population seems to come to me for help. And then I come to you. We do need affordable homes, housing. On top of that, we need triage centers. We need, in every district that there is here, we need so much that, through the gentrification of these areas of Sacramento, which the government of this city is in charge of, we have homeless people. So I look at every one of you as a partner in this. Each one of you, your areas are being improved, is causing homelessness. So I think each and every one of us need to step up and start doing something in our own districts. I'm not saying that you're not all doing something. I'm saying that we need more of what we are. There's 13,000 people on the street. 14 of them through the partnership is being housed. 14. That's 14. That's two hands and with another hand on the side. That's a joke. It's a joke. Each and every one of you should be stepping up and placing a lot more people in homes. I am only an individual that is on Social Security, and I have more homeless in and out of my house than I can see any of you guys, and I would welcome more.
Next speaker is Suzanne Hastings, and then John Fierro.
Good evening.
Good evening, City Council. I just want to say that Columbus Day is an amazing insult to all indigenous people. Columbus was a murderer and a rapist. He kidnapped young girls from tribes and brought them back to his ships for his men to rape and abuse. To celebrate Columbus Day would be like celebrating Hitler's birthday to the Jewish people. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me for a second. Councilmember Chenier. Just hit your microphone.
Oh, his screen.
Oh, there we go. I just want to point out the city does not celebrate Columbus Day, just so we can be clear on that. Not one of the official holidays for the city.
Okay, thank you. Next speaker, please.
My name's John Fierro. I live next to Woodlake Park. I've lived there for over 30 years. We don't have grinders in our park. We don't even have a bathroom yet. We have one of the largest homeless populations in the city, and now we're getting new shelters to help the homeless population. Thank you for attempting to do something about that. I hope, like you said previously, that these new shelters will have showers, bathrooms, and cooking facilities for the 200 clients, correct? So they can stay on the premises during the day and participate in some of the programs you have planned to help them become not homeless. Anyway, Woodlake Park is where I live, and I don't have bathrooms in our park. And personally, I've found needles only once in 30 years. What we need is bathrooms. There are a lot of people sharing couches or sleeping places for their homeless friends in our area. These people stay on the couches during the night, and they're out in the day because they don't want to impose on these people. They're grateful for just having a warm place, a dry place to sleep. They hang out in the park all day, and they don't have a bathroom. This is their living room. This is where they recreate. This is what they need. They don't have a bathroom. We have bathrooms. They're locked. They're probably deficient anyway. We have porta potties. They disappeared. Councilman Warren, who is my district guy, his wife has used my bathroom at the park because there wasn't a bathroom in the park. I let her use my bathroom. It's right in the corner. We have concerts in the park, baseball games, barbecue, light rail customers, people just stopping to eat their lunch. I've seen them all use the bushes behind the tennis courts. I want people I interact with every day to have a place they can eliminate and wash their hands. We don't have any place on Del Paso Boulevard. We have Little Joe's. They don't let customers in. You can't blame them. I've never been in A&W, but I'm sure it's an impacted bathroom. We had a groundbreaking months ago for a grocery outlet, which should provide one bathroom, but I haven't seen any progress on that at all yet. There's no business on Del Paso Boulevard with a bathroom. We need a bathroom for our park and for the light rail customers. And yes, it probably should have a grinder. Thanks.
Next speaker is David Andre, then Mac Worthy, and then Pastor Joan Lewis Kennard.
Hi, good evening, City Council. Number one, I realize we don't celebrate Columbus Day here, and for good reason. But our streets are still paved in blood, and we need to acknowledge Indigenous Peoples Day. So I'm another voice, going to be every day calling out, please put this on the agenda. Another thing is, I have a question. Your security guards at the Black Oak properties on 10th and D are telling people riding bicycles on Mint Chip like the ice cream lane, that is private property, yet there's no signage. So if that is indeed private property, people are going to naturally go through there. It looks like a city street. Is that private property, Mint Chip Lane on 10th and D?
It is private property. It's a privately built and operated street, so I think you're right, signage probably does need to be put up.
Yeah, because there's no way for people to know right now. Another thing is grinders and toilets are only going to cause people to put stainless steel bolts inside of them. People will put drill bits down there just to break them. What we need is Sharps containers and stainless steel boxes, please. Sharps containers and stainless steel boxes. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
My next speaker is Mac Worthy, then Pastor Joan Lewis Kennard.
Good afternoon. People, when you make a law, do you respect that law?
No.
Okay, now, if a business is already operating and you haven't made the law to enforce, while is that business still operating? Who gave the authority for that business to operate when you're telling other people who want to go into that same business that you have to make policy? Shouldn't there be a law somewhere to shut them down until you finish what you're trying to do? If not, I would say people, there's prejudice towards others when you allow that to happen. That's what the law says, when you are showing prejudice towards others that want to go into that same type of business. How did you allow a business to open up if you didn't have policy and law made around that business? Somebody should answer these questions, not here. I'd like to see you answer those questions on oath. But somebody ain't doing what they should do, and you're asking these people to respect the law, and you don't have the authority, don't have the ability to understand enough about the law to respect it. What are you asking? Or do you know what you're asking? Wake up, people. It's coming. You're going to have to face some real things here if you keep going the way you're going. Because you just ain't going to up and make some law, and I don't have nothing to say because I don't have the money to hire an attorney. I'm looking for an attorney to file it now. But we don't have the funds to do so. And if I get somebody with the funds to do so, we're going to file it. Close it down until you do what you got to do, and everybody operate under the same law.
Mr. Worthy? Mr. Worthy? So every council member here has office hours and is available to take any complaint that you have.
What?
Every one of us has office hours and is available to take every complaint that you have. So if you have a specific concern, you can contact any of our offices, and we'd be more than happy to meet with you and have a discussion face-to-face about the business that you have in question.
That's good, but
That's all I want to say. I just want to let you know that that's available to you, sir.
That's available, but you got 3 to 4 lawyers here, and they know
Mr. Worthy?
the due process of law. You got a problem.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
My next speaker is Pastor Joan Lewis Kennard, and then LB Pixley.
God for you, President Trump. You are a pastor. Your dad is allegedly a Ku Klux Klan member on TV, and you look like allegedly a Nazi, N-O-T-Z. But I know you are not, K-N-O-T. Exodus 14:13 says, stand still, please, G-D, God D, stand still and see the letter, the salvation of the Lord. Lords of London, Your Highness Flutnore. Stand still and see, S-E-E, the salvation of the Lord. You are something else. Take, T-A-K, care of yourself, like
Pastor,
you left
Pastor,
Puerto Rico.
I'm going to stop your time for a second. I just want to know, does this have anything to do with city business that you're talking about?
It's non,
I'm
whatever.
sorry. I'm not talking to anybody in the public right now, and I'm going to ask you not to yell from your seats. And this is, excuse me, Pastor, I'm not talking to you. This is my first and last warning. If I have to tell you again, I'm going to ask you to leave, and I'm going to ask the officers to come down. So, Pastor, I'm now talking back to you.
Yes, sir.
I just want to know exactly what city businesses this have to do with as far as your testimony.
It is just like the whole world.
I know, but it relates to the city, and maybe our attorney can explain this in more detail as far as what your testimony has to be on when you come to the microphone? City Attorney, please.
Yes, Vice Chair. Public speaking to matters not on the agenda only are allowed to speak to matters within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city.
So I'm trying to figure out within the city, what does this have to do with? And does it? If you can make a correlation, I'll let you continue.
Okay, if I finish, I just have 3 more pages. Then I'll just sit down.
Does it have something to do with specific city business?
California,
The city of Sacramento.
McClellan Air Force Base,
Okay, if you can tie it to McClellan Air Force Base, I'll let you continue.
Valley High.
Okay.
Stand still and see, S-E-E, or S-E-A, the salvation of the Lord. Pacific Ocean. You're something else, T-A-K, care of yourself like you left Puerto Rico. Come and gone, you must stop. I'm not voting for you, President Trump, again. Still love you as the President of the United States of America, postscript, P.S. I saw 2 visions of bombing in us, the United States of America, one at McClellan Air Force Base. A white woman said, say it, California. And another at Arco AM/PM gas station on Mac and Valley High. SIC, spell, are there, or THERE or THEIR in South Sacramento, California. On my iron screen door, a wreath is put there for known and unknown war soldiers who are dead.
Pastor?
Now,
Can you give me your closing comments, please?
I'm almost.
Okay. You got 10 seconds.
Now go P-E-A-C-E, peace, not P-I-E-C-E-S, pieces.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your testimony.
That's it?
Thank you. If you'd like to leave a copy, please leave it with the clerk.
I was
Thank you.
going to say about the free phone, ET phone home.
My next speaker is LB Pixel, and then Atravis Jows. LB.
Good evening.
Let me, just one moment, please.
I know I get turned off a lot. I'm here to speak about the 3 ordinances that violate the Constitution. Sacramento has a homeless crisis. Per report, estimated 7,600 people being unhoused in 2016. The city defended the anti-camping ordinance and intensified their leverage by making the park to be in the park after hours illegal. Ultimately, the city asked the county for $44 million to help 1,550 unhoused individuals, which leaves the remaining 85%. Where do you think they can go? The only conclusion that I can come up with regarding this inhumane ordinance is the revisiting of the ugly laws. From the late 1860s until 1970s, the several American cities had an ugly law, including Sacramento, that identifies groups of people as disturbing the flow of public life and ban them from public places, especially the Midtown area, downtown area, Land Park, wherever there is a public-private business partnership, which you are all a part of. My other conclusion is that the immediate profit is more important than long-term benefits of having a healthy community made of compassionate and thriving people. To reduce a person's worth to 30 feet of separation, which is the aggressive panhandling law
Can I get your
or ordinance.
Can I get your closing comments, please?
Yes, and being an illegal, making it illegally a legal liability for people to be in the park afterwards.
Thank you so much.
So
thank you.
We would like for you to know that we will be here until this is repealed.
Thank you so much.
My next speaker is Atravius Jowls, and then Trina Allen.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Atravius Jones, and I come from District 2. And I just got my high school diploma, but I got it because everybody in here, like, everybody had a different insight about what's going on in life, so it helped me get to where I was trying to go, and I brought up cards, holiday cards, to thank everybody that's on the council about helping me get to where I was trying to go in life. So
congratulations,
I appreciate you guys, each and last one of you. Even the people behind me, I appreciate, because everybody has. When I first came here, I thought everybody was stupid. Now I figured out everybody is smart. Everybody is genius in their own way. Like, even like Mac Worthy comes up here sometimes and he asks a question like, "Who's going to pay for it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, who is going to pay for it?" Like, I've never thought about that. Like, everybody has some type of ingenious to them. So I appreciate you guys, and here goes your holiday cards, whatever. So
hold on a second. Councilmember Warren would like to make some comments to you.
Can you stop the time?
We got you covered.
Thanks, Mr. Vice Mayor. I just wanted to really point out that, this young man I recently met, but he grew up in the same neighborhood I grew up in, and when we first met, he talked to me about some of the things he wanted to do in life, and one of the things I asked him to do after he told me he hadn't graduated from high school, I said, "Why don't you go back and get your high school diploma?" And oftentimes when we give direction to people, they don't take advantage of it, or they don't follow that path. And this young man would come to council and he'd sit through the entire council meeting. Several nights I've given him rides home and we've had a chance to talk. But he could be out in the street doing something very different, trying to make a living for himself, doing something potentially illegal. And yet he chose the path to go back to high school as a man in his early 30s. And got his high school diploma. I think that deserves a round of applause, you guys. Continue to look for big things from you, and I'm glad we've had an opportunity to experience this. I think you'll be a role model for a lot of other people. Keep on that path, Octavius. Thank you, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have 59 seconds left if you'd like to say anything
no,
else.
I don't need to say no more. You feel me? Yeah.
Good.
I like sitting back and watching the show, man.
I thought you were going to tell us. I thought you were going to tell us about the next goal. Like, what's the
I
next
just
set
got a
of...
job at Elk Grove Dodge. So if y'all
All right,
come
man.
by,
That's what I'm see there. See there.
Y'all can. So I move fast. So, well, we ain't here to talk about me. We're here to talk about everybody, because it's about to be holidays, and I appreciate everyone in this place. Yes.
And we thank you for the card that you've given us. You can give it to the clerk, and she'll give it to us. And
cool.
we wish you luck as you move forward on with your career and your life. Another big round of applause to that young man.
My next speaker is Trina Allen, and then Nikki Jones.
While hundreds, thousands maybe, of black and brown Sacramentans fuel our modern-day plantations, otherwise known as local correctional facilities, for producing or distributing the same plant substance that likely everyone on this diocese has partaken of, and two, come January, will become legal to profit from if you are already wealthy. We now watch as Sac PD rolls right in, shamelessly asking for more cash to regulate the fact that they can no longer criminalize folks and profit directly from the war on drugs. Hypocrisy has long been a tool of white supremacy. This is gross. We need to stop. Maybe instead of providing your law enforcement with more money to protect white property and wealth, you can remind them of your fair and balanced decision last week and let them know that you already ruled against aggressive panhandling and will not be funding their unwarranted ask of a handout. You have many options here. Some are reprehensible, but these are alternatives for real community safety based on Black liberatory reparations, community control, economic justice, and empathy. Begin to pay back the impossibly high debt waged on the backs of black and brown families by the drug war. Give millions in no-cost loans for marijuana and waive prior drug convictions in determining them. The gentrification of communities of color is colonization. Revitalize already wealthy communities by developing no-cost and low-cost housing there. Provide your people with rent control, just cause eviction, and incentives for land trusts. Housing is a human right. Build temporary shelters now throughout all districts, end your genocidal anti-camping and anti-panhandling laws, unchain public restrooms, and stop discounting the lived experiences of the unhoused folks who testify in front of you weekly. The only thing criminal about poverty is your policing of it. Serial killers, rapists, and perpetrators of genocide are not to be celebrated. The absolute least we can do is create an Indigenous Peoples Day and teach real history. Say out loud that your police department should not have killed Dejan Flano, should not have killed Joseph Mann,
Can I get your last
should not
comment,
have
please?
beaten Andy Kane. Say it with your mouths, because your only accountability shouldn't come from our pocketbooks. God, just for once,
Thank you very much.
say
Thank you.
they were murdered.
Thank you for your comment.
My next speaker is Nikki Jones. Following Ms. Jones is Grace Lochner. Nikki Jones and then Grace Lochner.
Sad to miss some of you
One moment.
last week. I was really disappointed last week that this council decided to move forward with really limiting in a very restrictive way folks' freedom of speech, the ability to ask for what they need in public space, a space that is afforded the highest protections of free speech. You've done nothing to narrowly tailor this to meet compelling government interests. I think you'll find a lot of pushback legally around this anti-panhandling ordinance. And I'd even like to ask the city attorneys here if how the vote went down last week, if that was even legal. Those were two items on the agenda. There was no motion to combine them. We were in fact told by the mayor that they would be two votes, and then somehow, magically, without notice, without word, they were one vote. Some of you even made mention that you would have voted differently if they were separate, if they maybe were not one item. They were two items. And then just all of a sudden, when it came to the vote, there they were, one vote. I'd like to know how legal that was, if that follows the Brown Act. I'd like to know all that. And in an age where more than ever we need to be supporting and coming together around uplifting our communities that are facing massive impacts from looming federal cuts, this council has decided to cut off yet more means of survival for people experiencing homelessness. From criminalization of gear that protects from weather of all kinds, to the possession of property in general and sleep anywhere in the city or county, to the degrading and heart-wrenching lack of access to bathrooms and running water and waste facilities. This city council is engaged in oppressing and degrading the lives of the poor. And for the mayor and anyone who follows his school of thought, fees and threats of jail to engage in services is coercion by force of arms, literally for existing in public space and attempting to get by. It is not service provision. Ask any service provider. Furthermore, the criminal justice system is a poor response to a lack of social workers in actual housing, tenant protections, and other preventative measures. Let me be clear, despite the captain's ability to say the words outreach and education out loud in this room, what he means...
Nikki?
Yeah.
Can I get your final
Final
comments, please?
thought. what he means is that men and women with guns will approach people and at best enforce the law without a citation, beginning the attack on their survival and creating further strains on the police department's relationship with this vulnerable.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
My final speaker on this item is Grace Loescher.
During last week's vote on the panhandling ordinance, this echoes some of what Nikki said, but Mayor Steinberg stated, and I quote, "Without objection, I would like us to consolidate for purposes of discussion, understanding that they are separate votes, items 14 and 15. There's no appropriate measure to object, so we move on with Mayor Steinberg and Council's word that these two separate ordinances would in fact have separate votes. I believed and trusted in my right to two separate and distinct votes, and I believed and trusted in the word of my elected officials. Less than an hour later, Steinberg and the entire council takes back their commitment to separate votes and instead votes one time unanimously on both ordinances. Steinberg quotes, "This is actually a very close call for me. If this ordinance was brought forward in isolation, I would oppose it as incomplete and ineffective." But the ordinances were brought forth in isolation, and you, council, promised your constituents that these two ordinances would be voted on separately, and when people objected to this, they were removed from council chambers. We need a system of checks and balances. When I asked my friends after the vote how I should go about challenging this, I first suggested simply emailing council and Mayor Steinberg, but my friends warned that council would create a paper trail to cover its tracks and make it look like the two are proposed as one ordinance all along. But I don't want to live in a city where I can't trust my own city council and my own mayor enough to hold them accountable. In this same night, Steinberg says, and I quote again, "I've publicly held myself accountable to getting thousands off the street." But that's not how accountability works. We need others to open our eyes for us. I am an expert in this field, and though every man on this council still claims to have more expertise in the nuanced work of homelessness, I will make another feeble attempt to have my voice heard. It is your political duty and social responsibility to admit error and amend this by casting last week's vote on items 14 and 15 as null and mandating a revote on both ordinances. The public should be given another opportunity to testify on both accounts separately, and if we are asked to honor an unjust ordinance, we should at least be asked to do so under just proceedings.
Thank you.
And Vice Mayor, I would love to know how best to follow up with this form of accountability.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask our city attorney to speak to last week's vote on item 14 and 15, if you would, please.
Vice Mayor, I didn't see any problem legally with the vote from last week as indicated in the motion and the second. They were both moved by the mover and by the seconder, and the vote was appropriately taken. So I disagree with the position of the speakers.
Very much. Okay, thank you for your testimony. I appreciate it, and we will move on with our agenda. Thank you. Okay. That concludes our public comment period, correct?
It is.
Okay, we will now move to our consent calendar. Do we have any speakers to speak on the consent calendar?
I have 9 speakers on the consent calendar. The first 4 on items number 4, Michael Voy, Fago, David Andre, and Robert Copland on item number 4. Mr. Voy?
Good evening, Vice Mayor and council members. Item number 4, the strategy, or I've lost my position, but anyway, it has to do with the grinders in McKinley Park. I'm glad to see that, and I support that. Someone did make a comment that maybe there might be something more appropriate than the grinders because they might be subject to damage. I just reiterate that maybe that should be looked at. I'm going to borrow a statement from the Vice Mayor that I've heard him use on more than one occasion. I think this program is so important that if something like this is included so that it could be more on a broad base in every council district and wherever needed, my pledge to you is I will devote and volunteer 4 hours a week for 10 weeks if this is an item on Measure U. When your Measure U campaign comes up, I will volunteer to support that if it includes funds to expand this program that's taking place in McKinley Park.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Councilmember Harris. Yes, you may.
So I'd like to just clarify something about this grinder that would be placed at McKinley Park. It is only appropriate to McKinley Park because topographically that bathroom sits lower than the sewer system to which we pump the effluent. In other words, it's a lift station that has to be pumped uphill. It's the only bathroom that I know of in the park with that particular condition. We don't need grinders at any other bathrooms in the city that I'm aware of at this point. It's just because that's sitting so low that the drug paraphernalia was fouling our pump repeatedly and costing us quite a bit of money to repair to keep the bathroom in play. But it really is not something that could be replicated or should be replicated in other parts of the city, just to clarify for you.
Could I make one additional comment? I think I had about 40 seconds left.
You have some time left.
I appreciate that clarification. And really what I was thinking about was the availability of restrooms. And I know that Councilmember Hanson had concerns about needles being found in a lot of different places. And so I thought that this was a pervasive problem in a lot of restrooms. I know a lot of them are locked, have been closed down because of certain things, and I made an assumption there. So I appreciate the clarification on that. My commitment for Measure U still stands if it's for bathrooms in general, so that people have a place to go. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
Speaker is Fago and then David Andre.
So thank you for clarifying also, because I was going to ask for clarification to ensure that this was actually just because of drug paraphernalia ending up in bathrooms. There's a much cheaper way to go about fixing that situation, and that's called sharps containers. They're little solid steel boxes. You can't get anything out of them. You can put them in, but the person that comes in and cleans the bathroom has to be the one to remove it, and it stays in a very safe box. Very cheap, very affordable. Also, it helps diabetics, because not everybody leaving their needles is a person that's on drugs. We have a large problem with people that have diabetes in the city of Sacramento. So it's kind of disingenuous to assume that every time you find a needle on the ground, it's somebody that was using drugs. There's also a lot of people that are homeless on the streets that suffer from diabetes. And this is something that probably for the cost of what you're doing for this one bathroom, you could do like half the bathrooms in Sacramento for the same amount through this process. And it's just a little box you put in the bathroom stall. People drop their needles in, and they can't get them out until the person that comes, and it's a biohazard container, so it's completely safe. Kids can't get in it. You don't even have to label it in a way that identifies it as a drug box, so they don't even know that's what it is. And rather than revamping an entire bathroom and an entire sewer system, drainage system from the toilets to install something that's going to cost more in power and maintenance in the future, a simple little box. Save some money. Quit using the most expensive ideas as the ideas that you float, and start using some that are a little bit more practical and more easy to spread throughout the city to help alleviate the situations. And let's not quit blaming everything on drug addicts. It's not always drug addicts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is David Andre and then Robert Copland.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Harris, for making that clear that it's a pump why we have to have the grinders there, because I too say about the sharps containers. And taking it a little bit further, I was here when I think it was Mercy Hospitals offered to do matching funds to the city of Sacramento to help homeless people. It seems like you guys could ask one of these big hospital chains to, hey, for free sharps containers, and all the city would have to provide would be the stainless steel box and the padlock that the container goes into. So you have the container in the official biohazard container, but it's stainless steel riveted to the wall of the toilet room. Because we're gonna need toilets. There's gonna be more disease and stuff as more and more people become homeless, as there's no affordable housing. I know a substantial amount of people that are being forced to go to the bathroom, and they're older, so they can't wait for the library to open. So they end up going, and it's very disheartening to see. Not only is it unclean, it's very humiliating, and that's not the way to help our people. So I would ask you guys to, let's get these toilets, even if we just have to use the cheap porta potties. Thank you.
Thank you.
Speaker is Robert Copland on item 4. Following Mr. Copland is Faye Wilson Kennedy, and then Gary Jost.
And what item is that?
They were both speaking on item 12.
I have to agree with what Fago and David Andre say, but is it going to the water supply? All these sharps, these ground up metal and the drugs that are still maybe still in the needles? Huh? That's what I'm worried about. Is it going to go into the water supply, or is it going to be filtered out?
Mr. Copland, let me address your concern and that of Fago and David. Sharps containers have been tried at a couple of other places in the city, and they were vandalized. You can imagine the mayhem it could cause if we had a Sharp repository in a public restroom adjacent a playground, and if somebody was able to break that box open and those needles got loose, the liability issues there would be tremendous. So, listen, we thought about that. Yeah, it's a possibility. Maybe we can come up with a Sharps container that's absolutely bomb-proof, but the ones that you're alluding to simply won't do it. As far as what gets ground up, yes, it would go down to the regional sand treatment plant, and with the tertiary treatment there, it will not be an issue, with the process that the water goes through, and none of this would be discharged to the river. It ends up in sludge, and there are many components that end up in that somewhat toxic sludge at regional sand. They put it out on the ground, and that's where it will stay in perpetuity. So as far as your concerns about it entering the water supply, not going to happen.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Faye Wilson Kennedy on item 12, and then Gary Jost on item 12.
Once again, my name is Faye Wilson Kennedy. I'm with the Southeast Village Neighborhood Association in District 6. I'm here to speak in support of establishing the Cannabis Equity Program. It's much needed, and once again, I'm here to express concern about the oversaturation of cannabis business along Power Inn Road, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
On item 12 is Gary Jost and Matt Haynes.
Hello, Vice Mayor Jennings and City Council members. My name is Gary Jost, and I represent Trico Welding Supplies. We're a local company that sells gases and welding supplies to many different industries here in Northern California. We provide gases for cultivation, manufacturing, laboratories, and packaging, as well as other products that the cannabis industry uses. Last week, we heard presentations from Brenda Davis and Cassandra Jennings, as well as testimony from Nasser Azimi, Kimberly Carlisle, and Diana Garcia. The cultivators offered their services to the Cannabis Equity Program. Their testimonies inspired me to approach our management to see if we could become a partner that would support the community with this program. And Trico would like to offer their services and expertise on gases to the participants of the core program. We are also in the process of establishing a special discount schedule that will make it more affordable for those individuals that qualify for the program. And we look forward to helping you.
Thank you, sir.
Matt Haynes on item number 12, and then Aaron King on items 12 and 13.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, council members. My name is Matt Haynes. I'm the Regional Director for Capital Compliance Management. Capital Compliance is 100% behind the city's enforcement efforts. The dispensaries, the 9 dispensaries that we represent, we are 100% committed to working with the city. The 9 dispensaries have a complete understanding of what is going to be expected of them. In regards to the items requested before the November 30th, the 9 dispensaries will have all of these items ready, and we will deliver them to the city before the deadline. Also moving forward, we have created several compliance binders that will be at each dispensary. They are holding the regulations set forth in the following documents: the actual permit, the CUP, the dispensary checklist, and the state regulations that just came out. These compliance binders will be kept up to date at each dispensary and that CCM represents, and will be available at any given time. So if there's an audit or a city official that needs to come into the dispensaries, we will make sure this information is available in a timely fashion. Just to repeat myself, we at Capital Compliance Management are 100% committed to the city enforcement efforts and committed to working 100% with the city and Mr. Devlin's team. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
And our final speaker on the consent calendar is Aaron King on items 12 and 13.
Hi, I'm a United States Navy veteran. I got out recently, about 5 years ago. PTSD has actually been one of the most difficult and strugglesome issues that I've actually ran into with other veterans. Right now, basically, to come up and say is that I'd like to continue to see this effort amongst the city. This goes back to their homelessness problem. This goes back to actually a large issue with most of our veterans and constituents that sign up to actually say, hey, I need something other than narcotics, something other than amphetamines. I need something different, and allow my city to readily distribute, to allow it to make sure that it's actually going to the proper use. I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I have no more speakers on consent.
Okay, Councilmember Chenier.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Really quickly, first of all, I want to thank Mr. Jost for his offer, and we'll hook you up with the right person. I just want to say for the council's benefit, we've continued to work with representatives of the groups who came to this council and have come on numerous occasions, and Brenda and Malachi, I want to say thank you to that. We're coming back next week. You have a PFP, there'll be other pieces to that, but I think we're getting extremely close to having something on equity that we all believe we need to do, and so I'm excited about that. We'll be bringing it kind of in full force next Tuesday night with all the other cannabis items. So it's in process. I got one more person on Brown Act. If somebody needs to find out what we're doing, you can contact me.
Okay. Councilmember Guerra, did you have comments?
Nope.
Okay, good.
Already.
Any other comments? Without seeing? Approval's been moved, it's been seconded. I'd like to support the motion and recuse myself from item 12. So all items with the exception of item 12. So all in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Let the record show we are unanimous on items 1 through 11. We are 7-0 and 1 on 7-0 and 1 on item 12, and we are 8-0 on item 13. Great. Thank you so much. Okay, let's move to item number 14, the public hearing.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Since we don't have any public comment that I know of, I'd like to move to open the public hearing, close the public hearing, and approve the item.
It's been moved and seconded in third and fourth, and I see none of my colleagues up with any comments. With that said, the item's been opened and also been closed. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Record shows we are 8-0. Thank you very much. Great testimony. Okay. All right. Item number 15. This is the public safety information for cannabis regulation and enforcement. Good evening, Ms. Tucker. Can you do that? Do you have to do 3 different votes? One is just receive and file. Yeah. One file.
Look at the views. Thanks.
Ms. Tucker?
Yes.
What is the possibility of combining 15 and 16 together? And 17?
Well, we're coming as a package of 3 separate items. So Joe Devlin is the lead on the other ones, as well as PD.
Okay. Okay. Okay, we'll go ahead.
Okay.
Where it is.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and Council. I'm Linda Tucker, the Media and Communications Officer, and I'm here to talk about a public information plan for adult use of cannabis. As the only city in the region to legalize manufacturing, cultivation, testing, and distribution, we also have a responsibility to educate the public along the lines of the safe and legal access to cannabis, making sure that it's tested and regulated. We want to promote public safety and health. And we also want to emphasize the state and the city cannabis laws and penalties for illegal use. So as we get moving toward January 1st, there are a lot of misperceptions about what happens on January 1st. Can it be purchased in Sacramento virtually everywhere? Can you smoke it and use it whenever and wherever, such as at outdoor dining areas, coffee shops? Adult use, is that anyone over 18? So to address some of those misperceptions and start addressing public health and safety, we're going to start with a 2-phased plan. Phase 1 is now through January and February, and it's very broad, and it's just the facts. Know the law. We'll start with getting out the facts now through the start of the year. The facts are, no, it won't be available everywhere. And you must be 21 and over to buy it if it's not for medicinal use. You can only use it in your home. You can't use it on the sidewalks and parks and public places. 6 plants per household, and the new rule in Sacramento as of September 28th is $500 per plant over 6. So phase 1 will include also outreach about the limit of 6 plants. It'll include a second mailing of targeted households with multiple languages. We're also concurrently developing partnerships to promote this basic information as there's strength in numbers and in dollars. We have opportunities to work with the Sacramento County Coalition for Youth, which is led by the Sacramento County Office of Education, and also the Sacramento County, or the Coalition for a Safe and Healthy Arden Arcade, which is part of the Sheriff's Office. So working with them, we can leverage our messages, leverage our ad buys, making use of some of the free opportunities that the city has with social media, Nextdoor, blog posts, Know the Law website that's being gone through right now with the city attorney's office. We have purchased knowthelawsacramento.org as a URL to promote, digital billboards, kiosks, and of course, we'll look to you for your help on constituent newsletters. Know the Law will encourage people to understand that it is 21, not 18, the limit of 6 plants per home. We're working with Uptown Studios on a creative campaign on the basics. When we get further into 2018, we're going to be working with the making use of materials that are being developed right now in a $5 million consultant effort with the California Department of Public Health. They're consultants charged with research and design of creative materials to reach youth, pregnant women, and nursing mothers and other vulnerable populations. The campaign materials are expected to be in multiple languages and culturally sensitive. The state is doing the creative work on this and creating a toolkit, but they are looking to local jurisdictions to actually spend the resources to implement the toolkit. So our plan is to review those materials when they are developed. The campaign by the state is expected to be out sometime in February, and adjust those to be Sacramento-specific where needed, and create the content that our partners can use and share our own toolkit with our community organizations to push out these very important public health and safety messages. So in summary, we are starting with the basics, know the law. We're developing partnerships to leverage creative design and advertising and marketing dollars. We're making use of the state's investment of $5 million in creative outreach materials to address public health and safety. We're going to adjust the materials where needed to fit Sacramento's population and needs, use our own platforms wherever we can, and track the results. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. We do have public comment on this item, and would you please call a speaker, please?
I have 4 speakers on this item: Michael Voy, Faye Wilson Kennedy, and Mac Worthy.
I'm in support of this proposal. I think that the public health piece I would sure like to see expanded, and that's something that I would hope that the council would consider expanding funds for that, and maybe that's a Measure U item as well. There just isn't enough that can be said about the front end of preventing the use. I've seen in the last week, since the last council meeting, I've encountered at least 2 uses of marijuana on the public streets where I'm walking. And this happens all the time, so I've been adamantly opposed to this. I don't know how many people have had, I've worked with other people. I worked for an individual who was a cocaine user. He was a chairman of a $3 billion bank. He destroyed the bank in some respects. It ended up having to be liquidated and sold. It sold for less than it should have, but I've had very bad experiences with people that use drugs professionally. This is a man that was in his 60s. That's why I have a lot of opposition to anything that has to do with drugs. And for those that say we should just treat it like alcohol, the repeal of and the legalization of alcohol was a sad day in America's history as well. And if you don't think so, think about there would be no Mothers Against Drunk Driving if it was a great idea. There would be no rehab centers in existence if it was a great idea. All we're doing is making money off people that are sad and really, in a lot of cases, pathetic.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Boyd.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Our next speaker is Faye Wilson Kennedy, then Mac Worthy, and Aaron King.
Okay, once again, my name is Faye Wilson Kennedy with Southeast Village Neighborhood Association. We're in support of this particular item, but also we would like to see a stronger public health component, and specifically, we would like to see some outreach to grassroots organizations, specifically the group that put forth the Cannabis Equity Program, and working with neighborhood associations in those areas that are really impacted by the cannabis business. We're really going to have to figure out how we're going to reach the hard-to-reach population, so really working with the ethnic media to reach those population, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Mac Worthy, and the final speaker on this item is Aaron King.
Well, I think I laid the foundation when I first on public comments. Adult use, people, that's critical. That's critical. In your own home. It's critical. Now, when it went that marijuana joint was in the zones of a school district, by the time the police got there, the joint was smoked up. What are you doing? Talk to people that know the streets. This is wasting people's time. regulation. Now, you're saying enforce the law. If you don't know how to enforce the law and you got dispensers already running, who know when they violate law? You ain't got nothing down here to say you enforce against them, to enforce against them, and they already operate. But yet still, you're telling these people, adult use, people quit trying to regulate us. You have a right at 21 years old. If you want to put the drugs out there, put it out there and buy it. That's your business. Same thing in liquor. I drink cognac. I'm going to buy my liquor and I'm going to go in bars and drink. I'm going to drink in my house. That's a freedom that you have here in this country. I don't know where you're going. I don't know what you're asking for. I don't see it yet, people. I don't see it yet. When you got a dispensers going and then you are showing prejudice against the others to come on, you're talking about regulations? How far are you going to go with this? Other people need to be going to business too. But you're saying we got to make this regulation. You can't go in your house. I already talked to a young man where his mother lives. She can't smoke it in that public housing. So what are you going to do when the law come up? Wake up, people. You're playing the game.
Our next speaker is Aaron King.
As a medical user of cannabis to help with anxiety, PTSD, and other things, one of the biggest concerns that I came into, I was a nuclear mechanic for the Navy, so I ran nuclear power plants. As I got out, I went into farming and agriculture. One of the biggest concerns that we ran into was that there's not enough literature for individuals to access. I appreciate this part on the city and attempting to educate our population, but there are many compounds that are still being researched. And one of those things that I like to see is that the city can actually implement current medical research on these other cannabinoids, as well as terpene contents. There are many beneficial factors that come from this plant that we witness and actually observe in other species. Similar or not, they all produce specific compounds. So my request basically is that to continue on and actually update literature. What I was taught in high school is the opposite of what I learned outside. I grew up here in Sacramento. I had a very rough upbringing. Many drugs were prevalent, but the education system, the knowledge that was available, none. It was what was on the street. It's what you heard from somebody. I'd like to see that this board can actually gather more professional individuals from the medical field that can substantiate this evidence and actually allow people then to make decisions on what they're purchasing. Someone walking into a club or even walking into a new store hears the word CBN and actually has no idea what they're being sold. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, that concludes the public testimony on this item. I'll now move to my colleagues, starting with Councilmember Guerra.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. First, I want to thank you for the presentation. In the past, when I would mention my concern with the adult use and how we're moving forward, again, we've tackled both tobacco and alcohol use for many years and spent a lot of time educating not only the adult population but young folks about the dangers of any drug use. And even today, we still have issues with prescription drugs, over-the-counter drugs, and how those get taken into account. But what I'd like to see, as far as council direction here, is a more proactive approach to working with our health partners in the local area, Sierra Health Foundation, the California Endowment, those folks who are involved in those campaigns, and that they link with some of our neighborhood community groups. I know, Ms. Kennedy here does a lot with the book fair every year, and I think it needs to be ubiquitous when we start talking about the impacts of any drug, particularly this one that's going to be on the minds of everyone come January 1st. So whether they're out at our community centers, whether at the Coloma Center, George Sims, they're part of any youth program, we have to get, I think, ahead of the curve of talking about the impacts of any drug such as cannabis. So for me, I think that's the key thing. I'd like to see a little more clarity, and I know that's, from my understanding, that's coming, but I'd like to see that sooner so we get ahead of it, because come January 1st, as you mentioned, some people don't know that just like alcohol, you have to be 21 to be able to use this. And also, you can't be consuming in a public place. And a public place also means a park, a sidewalk, and, does that mean in front of your house? I mean, that seems to be, that's also a public place. I don't know, we need some clarity on that too. There's, so I want to make sure that that's the case. That my concern is if we don't get early on to young kids. I already hear about parents talking about the issue in high school now. And my concern is that come January 1st, when the state law kicks in, the lack of information and youth being cited by law enforcement or whoever will just add to the other additional problems in that chain of effect. So I appreciate the item. I appreciate the fact that we're talking about the public education component on it, not only just the enforcement effort, which we're going to be talking about later today, but getting ahead of this part out front. But clearly, if we can get back the strategy and how you're going to work with the local neighborhood associations, the local grassroots community groups to touch those communities, and to work with that media. I mean, the Observer, Di Primera Mano, the different radio outlets. I want to make sure that we're impacting those, particularly in my district where we see a lot of those issues right now. Thank you for that, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Chenier, followed by Councilmember Ashby and Councilmember Carr. Councilmember Ashby. Councilmember Ashby.
Okay, thank you. I'll be, quick here. I wanted to first of all say thank you to Linda Tucker. You did a great job with the press conference earlier today, and I think you're doing a great job leading this effort. And I also wanted to thank Lainey Milstein, who's stepping in kind of new in this area, but immediately in her first meeting with me on this topic, noted to me a recognition that we needed to particularly target youth. And I see that reflected in your presentation today. This is really important. I have been a vocal naysayer to all things legalizing marijuana up here, but this is really, to me, the most important thing if we're going to do this. As Councilmember Guerra has gone through all of the details, I won't do it again, but everything that he said is right. We have to let people know it's not just a free-for-all legal scenario in Sacramento and that you can just come here and do anything you want. That's why the next item will make it clear how we are trying very hard to deal with the illegal components of this. And in some ways, we need to make it fair. People need to understand the law. They need to know, what the rules of engagement are here. And so I think, Linda, this piece that you have is critical, and I know you're going to do a great job because you've done a great job so far. I just want to thank you for that.
Councilmember Carr.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Just want to echo the sentiments that have been expressed by Ms. Kennedy and Councilmember Guerra. It's manpower intensive, but there are many groups that meet regularly. From neighborhood associations to fraternities, sororities, clubs, seniors in retirement, all kinds of folks that meet. And I found the best way to get the word out is to get to those groups. And while at their regular meetings, if you call a special meeting, a few people will come. But if you get to them in their meetings, and get the word out that way, as well as use our council offices. I have 5,000 people on my email list, and I'm sure the other council members have the same. And we can help you identify those organizations that we know are meeting and get with them. You don't connect with the majority of the population like that, but you connect with the people who are movers and shakers in the city, and they will get the word. Use them as an accelerator to get the word out to their circles. So I'm reticent to give you direction. I don't know how you take direction from 9 different people, but I'm giving you a suggestion that my experience has been, meet them where they are. They will give you 15, 20 minutes on their agenda and pass the word that way.
Councilmember Harris.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Yeah, I'd like to agree with what Larry said. You know, working on the community level is a very effective way to get the word out about the concerns that you brought up. This is slightly germane to the subject, but, you know, we're talking about empowering small manufacturers, and my concern about much of this marijuana debate has been about manufactured products finding their way into the hands of youth. And that's another piece of the message that I think that we really need to focus on. You know, when you put cannabinoids in things that are chocolatey, that's going to be a big temptation. And I don't think that we've been talking enough about that subject. But it's going to be a big issue. It turned out to be a big issue in Colorado, and they've been working on that one. So, you know, when we do this messaging, certainly I'll be focusing on that piece, but I think a citywide approach would be indicated. Thanks, Linda.
Councilmember Chenier.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I think three things. First, so I'm in agreement with everything that's been said. I want to add one thing to Councilmember Guerra. When we're looking at partners, it's our friends in the health industry as well. So Sutter, Kaiser, those guys all have prevention programs, and we should be tagging into those. I think there's two priorities that we need to look at. One is, as we're doing the equity work, we're collecting data, so we know which communities have been most heavily impacted. So I'd like our priorities as much as possible to be data-driven around need, and so we should be able to catch that from the work that we're doing already. And then on the second thing, and I know this is the Chenier broken record, when we talk about youth, which I think absolutely should be a priority, we should involve young people in making the decisions about how to get to other young people. So we did recently 2 town halls. We have some great facilitators that came out of Chico. We're more than happy to help set up some additional kind of town hall work or focus groups with young people, because that's how we're going to know. I mean, I think the neighborhood associations, our mailing lists, all those are great for the adults, but when we really want to get the messages right and the messengers right for young people, we should be talking to young people about how to do that. So definitely want to help on that.
Great. Like, right now, our system isn't working, so if you raise your hand like we did in school, I can call on you. Okay, Councilmember Warren.
You turn me off.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I have several comments and looking forward to a much lengthier discussion next week about a variety of things. Had a chance to meet with Joe and Laney today and plan to spend some more time with other folks later this week and next week. But some of my main concerns, and I believe opportunities as it relates to this issue, is you know, really the sensitive communities. I think we need to pay a little bit more attention to how the impact of this new opportunity is impacting the traditional communities that have been left behind, minority communities, how we message the opportunity in those communities, as well as the concerns that we have relative to use. I could see situations where people believe that it's lawful, and it is, but they don't understand how to apply this new ability to smoke lawfully and might be out in various public places, and that would create additional burdens in our communities and tax the police officers even further. So enforcement, I think, is also a very big issue, and I think tying enforcement and the nexus study that's being done to, you know, actual issues that we determine need to be addressed, I think is going to be a big issue. I'm not sure how the nexus study is going to either work to the benefit of or the detriment of the applicants that are already in the pipeline. Without going into detail, it is a big concern of mine. A couple others are equity, you know, who has the opportunity, you know, and not trying or not arbitrarily creating a monopoly so people are excluded from the opportunity to participate in this new business opportunity. And then also how the revenue that's generated from this new business is applied and really flow back into communities that that are really bearing the burdens of the majority of the impacts as it relates to this new opportunity. And I had noted earlier today that during previous discussion, it was said that, having all the zones that this use would be allowed in would somehow make it more equitably distributed throughout the city, and we see that that's not the case. It's not turning out to be the case for the applications. It's still fairly concentrated in 2 city council districts, District 2 and District 6, and so I believe that that suggests something, and it also, I believe, provides an opportunity for some offset in terms of the impacts that are happening in those communities, assuming that the majority of the applicants are licensed in those districts. And so those are going to be some of the major discussion points for me as it relates to next week. I'm hopeful we can get to an amicable solution. I do just want to stay on the record and say I think we've moved this issue through too fast. I think there's some areas that we've not done an adequate job with. I'm hopeful if we can get there next week, maybe we can. I'm willing to, to try to participate to do that. But I think we've gone a little bit fast as it relates to this new opportunity and still a very sensitive use. So with that said, I'm hopeful that staff can come up with some creative ideas and help us get to a place where we can feel good about the ordinance, but as it stands right now, I, for one, do not feel.
Thank you. So this is a provide direction, and so I think I've heard my colleagues very clearly on this as it relates to providing broader direction, broader education, and also making sure that we include other languages. I know we're talking about English and Spanish, but there may be a need to include other languages as well. And then I heard the increase of partnerships and looking at outside of the norms of who we partner with. And I don't think I heard school districts as a partner in this whole thing, and also helping to understand when we can educate not only the kids, but the parents within the school districts, and making sure that parents get an equal amount of education as we're trying to target the kids as well. But I always want to have the parents be the first teacher of their children, and the more we educate them, the more they're prepared to be able to educate their children. So I want to do that. I think the criminalization of marijuana and making sure that the priority neighborhoods that are most infected, we've talked about and had good conversation about that. But even our Parks and Recs is another partner in this who serves a lot of kids, and we should make sure that they're at the table. And we talked about youth, and I agree with you as far as targeting youth and hearing their voice, but we have a Sacramento Youth Commission right here, and they should be involved. And so, they're right at our fingertips, and we sit here and we talk about direction and setting policy, and we've got this jewel of an organization right under our fingertips, and I want to make sure that they're included in the process as well. So, do you feel like you have enough direction right now?
Let's speak to the use of incorporating multiple languages, and we do intend to do that, as well as providing the toolkit that we'll be designing to make sure that it gets out to the schools. And we are going to be looking to add more dollars, leverage more dollars with some other partnerships besides the 2 that we already have.
Right. Because there are a tremendous amount of nonprofit and community-based organizations that are working with our youth right now in Sacramento, especially in our priority neighborhoods. And so we need to take advantage of that. And I know as a resource, our police department works with many of them, and they can talk about the ones that have been most effective in working with kids and helping kids to stay off the streets and move in the right direction. So just another resource that we need to take advantage of. Okay? All right, we will move to item 16.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, City Council. My name is Dave Paulette. I'm your police captain for the South area of Sacramento, at least for the next couple of weeks. I'm here this evening to provide an update on illegal residential cannabis enforcement efforts by the police department and our Justice for Neighbors team and the city attorney's office. On August 22nd, 2017, City Council Member Ashby requested that staff return with a 2-month update on the city's efforts. At the direction of the city manager, the report was coordinated to be brought back current with the report on the city's cannabis regulatory process. And in this report, I will cover the efforts by the police department. On August 16, 2017, the police department initiated a 60-day pilot program that consisted of utilizing the existing members of our Special Weapons and Tactics team. The following is a summary of the enforcement-related actions during that time period. I was only able to break it down by patrol district, though we'll work on a council district breakdown. But we sent out 959 warning letters to houses that we suspected were doing illegal grows. And of that, we physically went out and inspected 614 of them. The remainder of them didn't respond, and we have another plan in place to deal with those. We also went out and did building inspection warrants with our hazardous dangerous building unit, and that resulted in 24 inspections. 15 of them were deemed substandard or hazardous, to where people were forced out of their home because they were a danger. The house has been altered, the power had been altered to the point where it was not safe to live in. We served 12 search warrants, made 10 arrests, and unfortunately on your report it reflects that we had 4,800 plants seized. That's inaccurate. We actually had 13,600 plants seized during that period of time, $15,000 in cash, and under our new admin penalty process, so far we're up to $6.8 million, actually a little bit more because we've done a few more cases since this report was published. 25,000 of that's been paid. We talked about SWAT working this effort, and during this time period, they were able to do 13 different shifts assisting the Justice for Neighbors officers. And then the JFN cases were 3 total. The approximate cost from the police department to run this was about $29,000. In this period, we were able to learn a few lessons as we identified SWAT as the dedicated team to focus on this illegal residential grows. Due to the significant number of high-profile events, SWAT personnel's availability to the Justice for Neighbors officers on these enforcement efforts were inconsistent, and it was to no fault of their own. For example, during the first week of the pilot program, SWAT personnel were reassigned to a 2-week period to provide some gang enforcement efforts. In the South area, we had a multiple-person shooting resulting in 4 people struck, 1 fatally. So as a result, we had to pull our SWAT team to go out and do some suppression efforts. SWAT also provided staffing for various protests and high-risk search warrants, which accounted for other conflicts in their ability to dedicate time to the enforcement efforts during this pilot program time. Much of the follow-up as a result of SWAT's conflicts was provided by the JFN officers, who were very instrumental in making a lot of these numbers happen. And as a result, they ended up partnering up with our POP officers or district patrol officers. But even in spite of this, we did see a measurable progress and action taken on the illegal residential grows, as reflected in the numbers I shared, and is truly a testament to our staff. During the 60-day pilot program, officers did reduce a limited number of residential cannabis grows, primarily through voluntary compliance in response to the warning letters that I previously mentioned. Despite this success, a more consistent staffing model is required to significantly reduce the number of illegal cannabis grows. Moving forward, the city manager has authorized the formation of dedicated teams consisting of 3 sergeants and 12 officers. These teams would be created from existing patrol resources, and their patrol positions will be replaced with backfill patrol on a daily basis as needed. These teams will focus their attention on areas the city has deemed the highest concentration of illegal cannabis grows, as identified in this heat map. will continue with the Finance and Office of Cannabis Regulations to identify and staff an appropriate model, including the funding a property assistant on an overtime basis to remove and dispose of cannabis-related cultivation equipment. And I'd now like to introduce Mike Benner from the City Attorney's Office, who's been a great partner in this effort, to talk about a little bit more about the JFN process.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, members of City Council. I was actually not expecting to talk tonight, but I can briefly. As you saw from Deputy Chief Paletta's stats, we have 3 JFN cases that arose out of the marijuana enforcement that we've taken over the last 60 days. JFN team, as you are aware, takes the most serious cases that affect our neighborhoods and raises them to the next level in the city, where we gather city departments together to tackle them as a priority problem. Those 3 JFN cases resulted in lawsuits being filed against the property owners for continuous noncompliance, which is why they became JFN cases. So right now we are in active litigation on 3 cases that arose out of the marijuana enforcement. So that's about all I have to say, unless you have questions.
Okay, we just stay tuned. I'm sure we will. Okay, that concludes your report. Thank you very much. We have public comment on this item. 4 members that would like to speak.
First speaker is Mackworthy, then Tracy Shaw, and then Aaron King.
It goes back to what I started off with on public comments. State and federal law been all time against illegal growers. Now, we have the police department been involved in some things, but we're still saying, how are those people that operate in the cannabis, do you know where they are getting their supplies from? That operate in the cannabis? Those questions should be asked. Who are testing their cannabis? That should be asked. And then we can measure, is there any money in it if they're making money? Because I see too many regulations here. I see crime, and I see some real crime. Because when you snitch, when we got some boys that going to be coming here, that you're going to bust a cap. And these boys don't mind busting the cap about that money. So what you need to do here is to back up and see what is on the cultivation shelf anyway. Because I know where a warehouse at. I wonder, is it legal? I want to know where East Sacramento. I want to know how many get busted. I want to know how many Land Park areas get busted. I know how many Riverside. I have access to people in those areas. I can call to New York and show you who's doing it. Associates. See, I'm not just here in Sacramento. I talk to people all over the country who know who's covered up and using a generator. That's what we're saying. You don't have to use the electric, you can use a generator. So therefore, somebody got to know what's going on in another person's property. That's come bad, folks. That come bad stuff. That snitches where I come from. And that stuff get bad. That causes crime. When you tamper with my money, people, things get bad out there. So I would like for the law enforcement to show the geographical areas that you do the busting of illegal growers.
Our next speaker is Tracy Shaw, and then Aaron King.
Good evening.
Good evening, Vice Mayor Jennings and members of City Council. I'm Tracy Shaw, Executive Director for Power and Alliance. Tonight, we congratulate the city on the residential illegal enforcements. This is an important advancement for all of the neighborhoods that are drastically affected by the illegal cannabis industry. But there are still significant needs in the commercial zones. We were told that July 1st would be the date that implementation would begin, and letters were sent with that information, and there is yet to be any activity on the commercial zone in terms of enforcement. This has been a growing point of contention for both the cultivators who have done the right thing and have stepped forward, have paid the permits as the city has asked. And it's also a point of contention and concern for the business community. We have entrusted in the city that this process would work, and today it is not. We respectfully ask that you put focus and emphasis on the commercial zones and address the illegal grows that reside in those areas as well. Our businesses deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd also like to thank, Councilmember Guerra. Thank you for working with us on this. The residential is absolutely imperative that we get it right. Congratulations. But there are still significant needs, and we were told that this would take place if people legitimized, and it's not taking place. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My next speaker is Aaron King, and then Samaria Love.
So one of my concerns that I was liking, I would like to bring up is the fact that the Sheriff Department has taken a stance in Sacramento County as basically if we don't see it, it's not our problem. You can do it, basically a look away policy, which I'm not necessarily concerned about in the sense that this plant actually has a benefit. The reality that came down for me is that how do we train these officers not to abuse a fine system? And that I'm just going to punish you with a fine. What stops a person at that point from continuing their operation? As far as I was concerned when I was growing up as a child, marijuana was one of the least of my concerns. I was seeing methamphetamine regularly, I was seeing LSD, I was seeing many different types of substance abuses in my home. Problem that I ran into is that we had often law enforcement that would show up. When I lived in Hawaii, there's many a times during when it was legal that officers would roll up on a porch, smoke the doobie with you, and then roll out. Have a good time, boys. The reality comes down for me is that how do we keep more transparency on where these fines are coming from? How do we allow citizens to report illegal use and as well as allow those that are trying to properly cultivate their own plants? How do we allow them to update either a registry is which is demanded? Individuals aren't allowed to own a firearm. This is a Second Amendment on a piece of paper that was written on hemp. Yet ownership of this plant and your Second Amendment is violated. How do we implement better fining systems to distinguish these two factors? How do we make sure that it's not a criminal activity versus civil? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Samaria Love is the last speaker on this item.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Samaria Love, and I'm with the Hood Incubator, and our mission is to see more and black bodies in the cannabis industry. Patients and citizens no longer trust the City of Sacramento Police Department. They've been allowed to terrorize and victimize people of color, and you've done nothing. November 14th, right here in the City Council meeting chambers, a Sacramento police officer accosted a member of the Associated Press, and you did nothing. Please do not allow them to terrorize us because you know which communities they are going to go after. In regards to the report on August 16th, or the SPD initiated a 60-day pilot program. It was actually a success. It does not require the SWAT team. I'm not sure whose idea that was, but please think about what you're doing, the SWAT team. And also, can we get some documentation onto why the numbers changed? I mean, they originally in the report that was updated yesterday at 1:20 p.m. said there were 4,800 plants seized from 614 residents. So what that meant that there was an average of 7 plants seized. It's a failure. They don't need more money because there's no one for them to police. But then they walk in here today and say there were 13,000 plants seized. That's just something that you need to question, please. We are just against you giving them more money. They have been given money every time they ask, and they haven't been held accountable for anything. The Sacramento Police Department are murderers. You know that. That's it.
And no more speakers on this item.
Okay, that concludes our public comment. We'll now move to our council members. Councilmember Guerra.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. I'm going to go ahead and just move this item and make some just brief comments here. One, I want to actually do a little bit of accolades. I do want to thank all of our staff that have been working on these ordinances, from the drafting of the policy to the enforcement prior to this. I had the opportunity to go out with our JFN team, both code enforcement, city attorney's office, and our police department on a particular problem house that turned out to be a grow house. And it was the other activity that led to us to identify this place. But that brings to the point about what an issue this has become for neighborhoods. The fact that you have some of these homes, in some cases being covert, but in other cases bringing in another dangerous element. Home invasions, missing the wrong house, just the odor. I mean, when I go visit my mom, the last thing I want to do is smell, outdoor growing or marijuana in the community. And in fact, in one situation, when I was out at the temple on Elder Creek, that has a elementary school, you look over the fence and there was a large grow behind there. And so I want to just thank all of our officers who've gone out there and really worked that south area to make sure that we can go after this nuisance that's happening in the neighborhood. And it's been a lot of it on overtime. Also, not without community conflict. And so the fact that our police department and our city staff took the time to do the long work of talking to community leaders, talking to them about how do we educate them on the process, and also how to call for help. I think that's been big. This is a step forward that better defines what we need to do. It connects the dots and moves us forward. So I think that's important to note. And a lot of it has been on overtime. I know our chief has been moving to increase the hiring. But the bigger issue here is that if we don't deal with the issue of illegal cultivation and the illegal manufacturing, then it undermines everything else that the city has undertaken here. It undermines all those folks who have decided to come out of the light, pay their fees, start their own operations, and have a legitimate business. If we don't address the illegal activity of growing, it's going to undermine the equity plans that we have put forward, that we had on P and passed for publication today, and we'll be discussing the following week. So if there's any hope for folks who have been historically affected by this industry or this issue, to actually having access to it, the illegal cultivation is going to undermine those efforts to bring some equity back into the system here. So, I think we had a great presentation for our police department here. I know in my own district, where recently there was the fines that we assessed were in the hundreds of thousands. Thank you, Mr. Benner, for being out there, and I appreciate the city attorney's staff for continuing to look at other creative ways to making sure that we can enforce this law. And with that, glad to move the item.
Second.
Item's been moved, seconded by Councilmember Carr. Councilwoman Ashby.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I have a few comments on this. First of all, I'm just very grateful. On the July 18th meeting was the first time I brought this to council, and I asked the city manager and the city attorney at the time, Jim Sanchez, to begin to work on a pilot project that we could use moving forward to address these illegal grows. Several council members had expressed concern in their districts. It was really at a precipice in my district where there are large homes, lots of square footage, so lots of plants, and a very big problem. Immediately following that July meeting, we put together a group that included SAC PD, the fire department, the city attorney's office, code enforcement, and the city manager's office. And then I had some meetings with the district attorney's office, and so did some of the folks from the city attorney's office, met with them as well. And that group really worked to establish these sort of 5 changes that brought about where we are today that I think is important to note moving forward, because this policy or this pilot that we did is now going to become ongoing, and I think these are the key components. Obviously, the increased administrative penalty fee, which, by the way, Mike Benner and his team, Gus Martinez and Bo, all deserve the lion's share of credit for. Bo Parkhurst, the Justice for Neighbors lawyers. They did their best practice research statewide on what the possibilities were for us in terms of how we could administer these fees and really give a hammer to a program that we didn't have a hammer for before. In addition to those administrative penalty fees, they strengthened the city's ability to seize plants and equipment.
So prior to this, we would go to a grow site, but we couldn't take the plants, we couldn't take the grow lights, so we were really effectively just moving them from one location to another. So addressing those two things with the district attorney's office, with SAC PD, and with the city attorney's office, and then implementing through code enforcement were critical and key. They provided additional resources to law enforcement, which we did as a council. We streamlined the warrant process, which means we need to thank the SAC Superior Court judges, because this can be very difficult. This process works that first you get a voluntary letter from the SAC PD saying, you shouldn't be doing this. That's your first opportunity to shut down and leave. You don't have to face any criminal punishment. There's no punishment. You get that letter, then you're like, oh, I didn't know, or I did know, or whatever. We got to get out of here. You can just leave. Then there's a residential inspection. And then after the residential inspection is a criminal enforcement. So you really have two chances before you face any criminal problem here. And I think that's more than fair. But having the ability to seize and having the ability to have an administrative fee, and then knowing that we have judicial partners who would streamline a warrant process for us, is how we connected the pieces on that to be effective in just 60 days. And then lastly, collaborating with the district attorney on what is prosecutable and what is not. And this goes back to the information piece about, what are the pieces to grows in neighborhoods, illegal grows in neighborhoods that really put us at risk, either environmental conditions or neighborhood public safety conditions. And so addressing all of those, I think, is the meat of how the deputy chief, as he spoke to, brought this program to life. And I just want to thank some of the key partners while we're here. First of all, in the police department, Chief Hahn's vision to use SWAT, and you heard a couple people be critical of that. It's important to point out they weren't acting in SWAT capacity. They didn't show up at a house in full SWAT gear and go all SWAT crazy on these houses. We use them in their police officer capacity. It is a group of officers who are trained to do many things. And in this instance, we use them for enforcement and delivering these warrants and going out to these sites, which was brilliant because we are lacking in resources. So hopefully tonight, after this vote and support, we'll be able to put more resources towards this, and SWAT won't be involved. It'll just be the teams as described in the report. But Captain Pam Seifert, who's here today and never wants credit, worked really diligently, and the North area had terrific successes because of her and her team and her leadership, as did Deputy Chief Dave Paletta in the South area. They are a formidable team. But Sergeants Ray Villegas and Louis Peace deserve a lot of credit, and Officers Brian Webb, Kristen Bell, Kelly Strike, and Tara Carson are the real heroes of this, day to day, watching those lists and making sure that everything was handled. Of course, the SWAT team. Another component to this that was tricky is that the state mandates disposal and how we handle seized marijuana. So our fire department had to very quickly get up to speed on how to handle that, and they did a terrific job. So Fire Marshal Jason Lee and the Deputy Chiefs Nico King and Chad Augustine and the marijuana enforcement team, which includes Elizabeth McDowell, Ken Kwong, and Marty Hill, are to be commended for the results that they could produce in a short 60-day turnaround. We've talked about the city attorney's office, and then we talked about the district attorney, Anne Marie Schubert, and thanking her and the judges. But sitting out in the audience is the person who really had to rally resources, and that's Carl Simpson. Because this whole process comes through an inspection. And so you heard about the inspections. That happens through our code enforcement department, through hazardous buildings, and being able to go out and inspect the buildings and see where a hazard has been created. And Carl, you deserve a ton of credit for this outcome, for making this work. It's just phenomenal, and I hope after today's vote, you have the resources you need in your department to be able to do all the things that we charge you with through code enforcement. This effort leads us to 959 warning letters that were issued, 614 physical inspections, 24 building inspections where warrants were served, 12 search warrants served, 10 arrests, 13,800 marijuana plants, and somebody asked why that number changed. The math was wrong. We make mistakes. The first number was wrong, second number's right. 13,800 plants. 15,000 in cash seized, and I'm told as of a few moments ago that we are up to $7.8 million in administrative penalties issued. So a significant problem that we are addressing here. For me, at the end of the day, the hope is that the pilot project would work. I think today we see resoundingly that it did work, that this body would then support this on an ongoing basis, and that the message would be sent clear and loud that illegal marijuana grows will not be tolerated in the city of Sacramento. So thank you so much to everyone who participated in making the pilot a success, and to my colleagues for supporting the effort moving forward.
Thank you. Councilmember Henson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'm glad I went after Councilmember Ashby because she laid it out very well and was very thorough in thanking the staff and everybody who's worked on this. I just had somewhat of a discrete question, and maybe it's for the captain, soon-to-be deputy chief, or the city attorney's office. I'm guessing that the violations are public record, and so the administrative penalties, the addresses are a public record. Mike, or I don't know.
The penalties themselves would be public record. The citations, we would have to go through a legal review in our office for any of that stuff that came through. My guess is that the addresses where the penalties were issued would probably be redacted from any Public Records Act request just on a privacy basis.
Privacy for?
Well, we don't want the public to know anybody to know where the grows are actually happening. We do it by a block. You've seen it in the SACB where it says in the 1000 block of H Street, right? As compared to the specific addresses. We've had instances in the past where those addresses have gotten out, and we've had incidents, the following evening with people going back to the same house. So my guess, and like I said, we'd have to do an independent legal review on each one that came through our office as far as whether the specific address would be redacted. But right here on the fly, I'd say they probably would be.
No, I understand that. The reason I ask is that we're used to seeing up here I get them weekly or on a regular basis, lists of code enforcement issues with specific properties, the parcel number, what the issue was, who the person was that violated. And I think just for public and transparency reasons, there may be a reason not to have a specific address, but I'd like to show the map more specifically if possible and have a way for there to be public notice if there's been something in their neighborhood at some more discreet level, because I'm sure the neighbors will know if something's happened. The people who are probably coming back are probably the people who are doing the bad thing. So they already know what the address is. I don't know what the public harm would be in not showing that, especially because we do post those agendas for code enforcement cases, particularly if they've been appealed. And Carl, maybe there's some point at which we'd release it, but I do think it's helpful for the public to understand, especially when you look at the heat map that the police department put together. So much of it was concentrated in District 6 and District 5 and looked like some overlap with District 7 and 8. It would just be helpful. I think too, I'm always interested in the granular type of data. So as you try to put data out like that, just a general heat map isn't always helpful, but layers of that, number of plants seized, and it can be shown in circles or something else, or cash seized, or number of properties. I think trying to help the public understand too the consequences of an illegal grow will help direct them into the regulated environment, hopefully, but also allows the citizens who may be subjected to this understand that the consequences for the people doing that around them are pretty severe and will show the city's response at that more granular level. I think when we see it as a master list, it's very impressive, the number of plants, the fines, all of that, but I think most people look at this as how it's affecting them and their neighborhood and their families. And if we can show that more granular data, I think it helps us be more responsive to the concerns of the public, which are usually only about what's happened to them. They like that we're doing things for other people, but they're most going to be concerned about what's happened to them and in their neighborhood. So I think this is great work. This is a huge benefit to the city. I think it adds some confidence to the work we're doing around legalization and regulation, that the public knows that we're drawing a stark line between those who do not participate in a regulated industry and those that do, and how to manage that. So, thanks, Mike. Thanks.
All right, Councilmember Harris.
Thanks again, Vice Mayor. It is really heartening to see the progress that's been made in terms of determining where the illegal grows in residential areas are and making pretty strident progress in removing some of those from the communities. I actually have a question for you, Mike Benner, if you don't mind. So with almost $7 million of administrative penalties levied, what is the likelihood that we'll retrieve much of that money? Or do you have any kind of idea about what kind of revenue that actually might generate to perpetuate this program?
We won't know until these go through the appeals process. Right now, the direction that we've been giving the grow houses is to file their administrative appeal so we can work through that process with them. I can't give a percentage of how much of that money we'll see. I can tell you that in the past, before we amended the ordinance to allow for $500 a plant, one of the reasons we did is because these growers were walking in with a wad of cash of $25,000 and just paying it and then going about their business. So I imagine we will be seeing some, a substantial part of it, but I can't tell you exactly how much until we actually go through the process.
Understood. I would imagine we'll see a lot of appeals.
I would assume so.
Okay, thanks. You know, one more comment I'd like to add, and of course, most everything has been said and said well already, and that is that Tracy Shaw brought up a very salient point, and I understand that residential grows tend to be more illegal, you know, in a residential neighborhood with scabbed electricity, and, you know, there's very real fire dangers. There's lots of dangers in a residential grow, in the legal grow. But the fact of the matter is there are commercial grows that are unlawful, and these are growers who have not applied for a CUP or entered the process. And we know where some of those are. I certainly have one in my district I would like to close down. So I think Ms. Shaw brings up a very salient point that there's more to do, and some of that should be in commercial districts as well. All right, thanks.
Councilmember Carr.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Dave, we got one question for you since all my other points were covered. And it concerns the penalties themselves. Are they severe enough to prevent people from going back to the same house, pay the fine, and start business all over again? Are we seeing the same grow houses being used after they've been issued a penalty?
I can answer that kind of. So far what we've seen is that since the penalties have been increased, that the growers have been selling the houses. Carl Simpson can testify to the fact that they come in and pull their permits to rehab the house and they sell them. They are not going back to the same house after they've been issued the administrative penalty.
Penalties are stiff enough then.
That's the direction it seems to be going at this point.
To collect them. But anyway, it adds to the housing stock.
Yeah, true.
Okay. That concludes our comments. This item has been moved by Member Gatter and seconded by Member Carr. Seeing no other questions and comments, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstain? Let the record show we are 8-0. Okay. Our last item of the day is item number 17, update on cannabis regulation and enforcement. This is a receive and file item, and Mr. Devlin, the microphone is yours.
Thank you very much. And I think Councilmember Harris's comments were a great segue into this. Mr. Vice Mayor, members of the council, let's see if we can get this to work. Joe Devlin with the Office of Cannabis Policy Enforcement. I am very excited to be here before you tonight to present to you an overview of our proposed staffing plan and how that plan will translate into the execution of a robust enforcement strategy. I think it's important to note that our tactics and strategies for enforcement are intrinsically linked to our mission of fostering a professional cannabis industry that builds public trust, protects public health, and encourages compliance in a manner reflective of the values of our city. I believe we can and will curate a professional and socially responsible industry that aligns with our collective identity as a city. The staffing plan before you will help to ensure that. Our office has set out ambitious but achievable goals, adopting a regulatory framework for cannabis that supports the protection of public health,
We will do that through setting high standards and establishing capacity for enforcing those standards. We will work with law enforcement and hold closely the public's trust and confidence in our ability to regulate this new industry. We have developed a list of metrics of success for our office. The comprehensive list of metrics has over 30 items. Here are just a few of the broader ones specific to enforcement. In short, success is a cannabis industry that is professional, out of sight, generates taxes and jobs, and not calls for service. We have set high standards for our applicants. As you know, they are required to obtain both a conditional use permit and a business operations permit, both of which require a security plan. Some of this is to Councilmember Harris's inquiries last week. The security requirements must be written by a professional, are specific to each location. The equipment must be UL certified, and all plans are ultimately approved by the Sacramento Police Department. The development of high standards is vitally important, but the ability to enforce those high standards is how we ensure the cannabis industry ultimately reflects the values of our city. So again, each one of these security plans is very specific. They're in great detail. I think Sergeant Bill Wan is maybe here tonight, but he is the actual person that approves all of these plans. They go into tremendous detail in terms of lighting, camera location. We have a requirement for number of video hours stored. And I think it's important to note that we get two bites of the apple as it relates to the security plans. One is upon the conditional use permit, and that's kind of a holistic look at the site. We then get a second bite at that apple, so to speak, and on an annual basis as they come forward and seek to obtain and renew a business operations permit. The staffing plan importantly separates enforcement of commercial cannabis from residential cultivation. It establishes clear lines of operation and ensures that resources are available to accomplish both. In total, some 54 positions will be dedicated to the enforcement of legal and illegal cannabis. These positions will be phased in over time as permits come online. Some of these positions have been filled or in the process of being filled. With this staffing model, we will have the capacity to thoroughly regulate the current and growing industry. We will work with the community development department. The community development department has identified seasoned code officers with backgrounds in law enforcement who are ready and up for the task. Those code officers were assigned as of this morning. With your approval, we will begin conducting monthly inspections of all of our cannabis businesses. We will conduct walkthrough and inspections of those applying for business operations permits. Additionally, we will expand the utilization of our existing processes for assessing fines and penalties. These fines range from $250 to $999 per day per violation. We will also utilize suspending and or revoking cannabis permits if compliance cannot be achieved through other means. The existing framework that has been utilized by the Community Development Department but not effectively applied to cannabis yet. If these fees and appeal process are insufficient for addressing operational issues, we will return to council with amendments to strengthen those as needed. This proposal also ensures capacity for monitoring compliance. We will have dedicated administrative staff for coordinating inspection, tracking violations, fines, penalties, and appeals. Additionally, this staff will also support the licensing and renewal process. Mr. Vice Mayor and Council, enforcement is an essential function of creating and maintaining a regulated cannabis industry. We struggled in the past trying to manage an industry with 2 administrative staff and 1 zoning investigator. It simply did not work. The multidisciplinary team, utilizing a staff of 54 presented to you tonight, will ensure that we have the resources to manage this industry, to protect public safety, to ensure public health, and help create an industry that, again, reflects the values of our city. I thank you for your time, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. We have one public comment, so if you'll take a moment, and we'll take the public comment, and then we'll hear from our colleagues. I'm sure they have questions.
So Mac Worthy is our one speaker on this item.
It goes back to what I said earlier. Now, if you think this is going to make money, I gave you a recommendation last time here. Set aside $2.5 million for black folks to go into business. The mayor said he's going to try to help black people go into business. Now, $2.2 million was set aside in the school district a few years ago, but it had a tail to it. If it don't use, you take it back. We want to put a tail to this one to keep it. You got plan. You got 12 policemen, 4 sergeants. You got this plan out. You don't know this money going to come in. You ain't showed the public one iota that this type of money going to come in. Where is the plan of this type of money? What are you using for your basic fundamentals to figure this kind of money going to come in? Why is this a program? Black folks don't accept the program. A program is not a business. 99.9% of all programs from 60s to now was failures. Don't go into a non-profit organization. People, we got too many people here non-profit minded. That reason black people can't have anything. All the capital leaves this town. Profits leaves this town. Nothing stays here. But yet still you're going to help black folks go into business. Why can't you set the money aside? You built the arena. So set the money aside if you are guaranteed to hire these amount of people. Put this money aside and put your money where your mouth is. You know you're lying, don't you? You don't know nothing about no drug world. You're on statistics. You know an iota about drug world. Neither one of you up there know nothing about no drug world. I know from the FBA is on down to Central Intelligence drug world. I know who was busted in this town of drugs. And they talk about the money here, the 1,300.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your testimony.
Just wake up and do the thing right, because you are lying.
Okay, let's go to my colleagues now. Councilmember Harris, you'll start us off.
Thanks, Vice Mayor. Joe, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. So a great overview, and you clearly have a good plan. 54 employees is very expensive. So how are you going to fund this program? But more importantly, on January 1st, we're talking about possibly dispense of adult use marijuana. And how many of these employees will be online and ready to go on January 1st?
So, thank you, great question. The program and proposal and staffing plan before you is paid for through entirely for permit fees, of which we've currently issued none. So, and with the exception of our 30 existing dispensaries that we've had since 2013, we've yet to issue a single business operations permit for any other type of cannabis activity. But the program will pay for itself through program fees. We have 135 applications in right now, and we'll begin working through those in a short period of time. We've begun identifying those employees, specifically code officers, that are going to go out and really be compliance officers and going to work through what it will be a very long checklist specific to each cannabis business. As to what happens on January 1st, I guess I would describe what I think happens on January 1st is probably a lot what looks like on December 31st. I think this is going to ultimately be more of a process than an event. Next week, the council will consider the notion of perhaps allowing adult use sales to take place at existing dispensaries. Of our 30 dispensaries, some number of those may be able to meet our high standards for compliance and could potentially be eligible to sell adult use. As I stand before you today, I don't believe that it will be all 30. I can't tell you what that number is because I haven't gone through every single one of them, but I can tell you it's not going to be all 30. And as kind of the rest of the industry, the state's proposal, I guess, or plan for making the supply chain work is really through the issuance of temporary permits. Now, you only need a temporary permit if you're already engaged in that activity. So our dispensaries are going to need to obtain a temporary permit, and distribution will be an important part of that. I think that's the biggest part of what's going to take place, kind of after January, is those business-to-business transactions that will require a state temporary permit. But in terms of like big wholesale change and big shifts in the market and adult use becoming online everywhere, this is really going to be more of a process than an event.
Well, I appreciate that, and I may ask more pointed questions next week, but, Mr. Haynes alluded to a process that he's creating to bring various dispensaries into a very transparent state of compliance in terms of paying their tax, having their permits in order, paying for their CUP, getting them ready to potentially dispense adult-use marijuana. And it's very important to me that they be completely in compliance before we alter their business operating permit or potentially, administer a second CUP for whichever direction we take on that. But, that's imperative that we don't jump into that market until we're fully prepared and we know that anybody that we license to dispense adult use, we got to know that we can track their books, that they can be audited at any time, and that they will pay their taxes in a timely fashion, and that we don't always have to chase them. We have to know their reporting has to be constant and it has to be accurate.
Yeah, absolutely, completely, 100% agree. I would also add to that, last month we had a mandatory meeting with our dispensary owners where we made it abundantly clear what our expectations were. We have, even before that, seen dispensaries, I think, move towards professionalism, but following that meeting, we've had requests for meetings with our dispensary owners where they're coming in and they're saying, okay, here are all my documents. What am I missing? Help me. They're coming to us now. So we're no longer, to your point, having to chase them down. They're coming to us and saying, we get it. We get it, and tell me what I need to do. And so that's a refreshing change that I think that's been a recent change.
Okay, well, I'm just saying let's keep tracking and keep pushing because we have to get there before we open up that market.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Council member from District 8, Mr. Larry Carr.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Joe, would you go back to your slide on personnel?
Which one?
The one with the personnel manning? The 54? What assumptions are you making to come up with this number?
So it's fairly dynamic. However, as it relates to the legal cannabis industry, what we did was quite painfully sat down, took a look at the number of applications that were coming in, made some assumptions as to what will come in month 12, month 18, month 24, and then kind of reverse engineered from there based on the number of hours we think that these inspections are going to take, the number of hours that the renewal process.
So in month 24, how many facilities of all types are you assuming?
I'm sorry, say that again.
In month 24, how many facilities of all types are you assuming?
In turn to my staff. I can't remember.
I think back there, Joe.
I think it was in total between between the various parts of tiered manufacturing, distribution, delivery, our existing 30 storefront dispensaries, cultivation facilities. We were fairly conservative. We saw the kind of bubble of applications for cultivation, so to speak, come in. And so we didn't continue to track that on an incline. We took that kind of what has been kind of a steady trickle since then and took that out. For, I think, manufacturing, I don't want to guess the exact number. I can give you the exact permit fee spreadsheet that it was built off of, though.
Or maybe you can get with me and after
Absolutely.
the holidays. And on the suspensions and revocations, once someone has their permit revoked, they can continue to operate for another 2 months. Is that what that chart said?
So currently, the existing process, which we are utilizing, which the city hasn't really utilized for cannabis up to date, is our code fines, fees, and penalty process. So currently, for example, we suspended a permit, and that permit, that suspension has been appealed, and it's going before a code hearing officer in the next 2 weeks. But yes, to your point, until there's a final disposition made or ruling made, that operator, until kind of proven to be guilty, if you will, is technically allowed to operate. And again, I'm trying to use the existing process before I kind of run back to council and say, okay, I want to blow this up and fix it. I want to find out how it works and where the inefficiencies are, and if we need to make changes, fully intend to come back before this body with a request of and some suggestions of maybe how it can be done better.
So that's a process that we establish and we can change it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Councilmember Guerra.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. Joe, thank you very much. I think a lot of the questions here were answered. The only one thing I wanted to reiterate was I'd like to make sure that we follow up on the issue of enforcement and the better relationship on the commercial and industrial areas. If we're going to make those areas work, then we gotta move quickly on that piece to make sure that our team here of 6 enforcement officers and those that are paying their fees for this are also getting the benefit of good enforcement.
Yeah. And those building inspectors up there, those are what will be our first line towards addressing what will be an illegal commercial activity. And we are currently in the process, as I understand it, CDD is currently in the process of going through the list to onboard those positions.
Good. And then the last two things. One is on the issue of adult use. I know that's a conversation for next week, but much like we had a conversation earlier about education and health strategy, I would like to see what that looks like, and even if it's in a framework or a thought process, when we bring that item to discuss for action. I feel very uncomfortable if we don't have a direction on kind of where we're going on that before we move quickly on adult use. So I know it's a short time frame. We've got Thanksgiving in between and some, turkey hangover. But I'd like to feel that we are already looking at how we're going to move that forward for next week. The last piece is on ensuring on the equity side, how we're going to communicate with all of this team and make sure that they know how to communicate with your team even better as well. So that's it.
Councilmember Chenier.
Great, thanks. Joe, thanks for the presentation. So I think I've probably spent more time on this issue than most, if not all, of my colleagues, and from predating you. And coming from basically two individuals that were not even full-time doing this and a zoning person doing it. I think full-time, but maybe not. We've come a long way very quickly, and so I want to appreciate that. Just a couple of points I want to put exclamation marks on. I totally agree with Mr. Harris. We need to make sure that before anyone can operate as adult use And as our current dispensaries continue on medical, they need to meet the requirements that you've put together. So could you, not at this point, but at some point, I'd like to kind of walk through the process for the individual applicants. You know, what that actually looks like, and I don't want to take the council's time on that, but I'd like to walk through it so we have really a good understanding. And I think that probably for the applicants as well, maybe there's something that we could put together that kind of helps you out on them coming to you. And I see, you know, Matt Haynes back there probably is what he's doing, but it would be nice to have some tools that they can use that help them walk through what the processes will be. And I think for the council members themselves to be able to see those tools would be really good. I know this is just more work, but I think this is one-time work that if we can get done, will show us all, kind of take the black box out of all of this. This is actually what happens, step 1, step 2, step 3. So I think that would be really helpful. So that's my point. And again, I agree with Mr. Harris. We need to make sure that we get all of this right before we move on, but I also don't want to miss the window. I know the state's going to be doing applications and permits quickly after the first of the year, and then we don't know when they'll get back to it. And so for our own revenue purposes, I want to make sure that we don't miss that window. And working with the operators that have been good operators, make sure that they can get in line. Again, as long as they're meeting all of the criteria. So again, just want to thank you and Zara and your staff for all the work you're doing. I know it's a tremendous amount in a very short period. I would venture to say in the 7 years that I've been here, I haven't seen this much work done by such a small bureaucracy in such a short period of time on so much to happen. So I just want to congratulate you on that. That's it.
Okay. That concludes our comments on this section, and good job. I appreciate that. We will now move to council comments, ideas, questions, and reports. And before we do that, I'd like the city clerk, who has appointments that she'd like to read into the record. So if you'll punch up, you'll come up right after the city clerk.
I can't. Thank you, Vice Mayor Jennings. I have quite a few board and commission appointments to report. The first one is the Ann Land and Bertha Henschel Memorial Fund Commission, and that's Caitlin Maple for seat B. The Sacramento Metropolitan Arts Commission, Veronica Delgado. The Civil Service Board, Edwin Ed Perez. The Natomas Basin Conservancy Board of Directors is David Christoffel. So David Christoffel. To the Sacramento Yolo Mosquito and Vector Control District, Raymond Latour. And to the Sacramento Ethics Commission, Mary Beth Moylan, seat A, Deanna Adams, seat B, Emmeline Rodriguez, seat C, Linda Ng, seat D, and Susan Underwood, seat E. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Harris, you have the stage.
Thanks again, Vice Mayor. So I'd like to thank everybody. Actually, sure, I'll thank you, but I wanted to wish you all a great Thanksgiving. It's just 2 days hence, and I'd like to invite you to Run to Feed the Hungry, one of the biggest events in the western states. We anticipate 29,000 runners this year. Quite a remarkable event. It starts at 8:15 on Thursday morning in East Sacramento at Sac State, the entrance to Sac State University. I hope to see you there. I'll be there to help kick it off, and then I'll be running with you.
Okay, Councilmember Guerra.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. Just a couple of quick announcements. One, the Thanksgiving at the park, Wednesday, November 22nd at the Elmo Slider Clubhouse. That'll be tomorrow. At 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., we have free meals for those in need who need some free meals. So come on out there to Elmo Slider Clubhouse in Max Bear Park. We have the Central Area Budget Town Hall, save the date, on Monday once we get back. So after you get that turkey hangover, come back on Monday, November 27, 5:30 to 7 p.m. at the Clooney Community Center. This is a multi-district town hall. Then also save the date for the District 6 annual tree lighting and Snow Much Fun at the Coloma Community Center, you know? Love those dad jokes, right? December 7th, 5:30 at 8 p.m. And final announcement, Mr. Vice Mayor, is proud to announce that we finally picked a name for our new baby boy.
Larry.
And Larry. And his name is Javier William Guerra Lockie. And, you know, born 5 pounds 10 ounces at 1 in the morning on the 12th of November. So with that, that was a great announcement, and that's all we have for District 6.
All right. Congratulations. We are convinced that there's a future Raider among us. Councilmember Chenier. I do. Okay, let me do first then. Okay, on Wednesday the 22nd, the holiday tree lighting will take place in Old Sacramento, and that's going to take place at 6 p.m., and I'm asking you to join Councilmember Hanson and I and Ashby, you'll be there as well? Okay, good. It's going to be a great party then, because we're going to stand in front of the Front Street and K Street in Old Sacramento, and in front of us will be a 60-foot tall Old Sacramento District holiday tree. So bring the family out. It's going to be a wonderful time as we light the tree for the first time. And then the Greenhaven Pocket Rotary Club is hosting their second annual blanket drive. They're taking donations now all the way through mid-December, and the donations will benefit the Moral Value Program and the Homeless Outreach Program, My Sister's House, as well as other organizations within the community. Donations can be accepted at the Public Safety Center headquarters, the ACC Senior Services, as well as the Robbie Waters Pocket Greenhaven Library. And if you'd like to call for more information, contact Keiko Wong at 916-718-7400. Councilmember Chenier.
Great. One announcement really quickly is I'll be working or volunteering tomorrow at the Oak Park Community Center, 11:30 to 1:30 with Shiloh Baptist Church. We'll be doing Thanksgiving lunch. And then I wanted to do an adjourn in memory. Last week, we paid tribute to Dan Gorfain for the work that he has done on the Parkway in the arts community here in Sacramento and also in the Jewish community and the larger community. Unfortunately, he was too ill to be here last week. He was able to see it and saw it actually numerous times, and I think it brought him quite a bit of enjoyment. Unfortunately, Dan passed away yesterday morning, so in memory, I'd like us to adjourn for Dan Gorfain.
This meeting is hereby adjourned in memory of Dan Gorfain, and we will be praying for he and his family.